The FIFA Club World Cup round of 16 is officially here, and honestly, I was completely shocked by the group stages because at the start of this competition, I thought it was going to be very obvious which teams would advance into the round of 16 and which teams would get eliminated in the group stages. But we saw a lot of upsets, we saw a lot of amazing performances by the Brazilian teams, and some of the European teams did not perform as good as most people expected. In today's video, I'm going to be predicting all the results for the round of 16 in the FIFA Club World Cup. Now, this video is not going to have all the editing that most of my videos have because I am currently recording this Friday after I've just gotten back from work, and I don't have time to do all the editing because I need to upload this video before the first round of 16 games that take place on Saturday. So without further ado, let's get right into these predictions. Starting off with the first game, we have an all-Brazilian matchup between Palmeiras and Botafogo. In the Brazilian league, currently Palmeiras do sit ahead of Botafogo, as Palmeiras currently sit in 4th place while Botafogo sit in 8th place. And in my opinion, I do think Palmeiras are the better overall team. I think obviously if you look at them in recent years in the Brazilian league, they have been very, very good. Obviously they've won the competition multiple times, and I do think they are probably the best Brazilian team left in this competition. But if we look at how these teams have been playing so far, I think Botafogo has actually been better than Palmeiras so far in this competition. Because if we look at Botafogo in the group stages, they were in a very, very hard group. Now, obviously, Seattle Sounders isn't a tough team, but the other two teams in the group was Atletico Madrid and PSG. And Botafogo, they did end up losing to Atletico Madrid, but they ended up beating PSG, which I thought was very, very surprising because PSG are the best team in the world. And for Botafogo to beat them, I think that was pretty crazy. I think this will be a very, very close game. At the end of full time, I'm going to say 1-1, but in extra time, I do think Palmeiras will get their second goal and beat Botafogo. Moving on to the next match, we have Benfica against Chelsea. Chelsea are looking like a very, very strong team this season, and especially with some of the new signings that they brought in. It just looks like their team every single year gets better and better and better, and their squad gets younger and younger and younger. But we did see them slip up in that one game against Flamengo, where obviously Nicholas Jackson ended up getting the red card, and they surprisingly lost that game 3-1. On the other hand, Benfica didn't have the best start to this campaign, as they ended up drawing Boca Juniors in that first game 2-2, and both teams ended up getting a red card. But after that game, they obviously beat Auckland City FC, and in the last game against Bayern Munich, beating them 1-0, they were very, very good, and defensively, they were pretty good. But I don't think Benfica has enough to beat Chelsea. I think Chelsea are a very young squad. They have a lot more talent than Benfica do. And don't get me wrong, Benfica could pull off an upset here, but I think Chelsea will win this game 3-1. Moving on to the next match, we have PSG against Inter Miami. I think it's absolutely crazy that Inter Miami ended up advancing from the group stages, because in my group stage predictions, I predicted them to finish last place. I predicted them to have a horrible campaign. They ended up not playing that good against Al-Hilal, but in the next game, they obviously ended up beating Porto, and in their most recent match against Palmeiras, they ended up drawing that game 2-2 to advance into the round of 16. But coming up against PSG, there is no chance, zero chance that Inter Miami win this game. In my opinion, it would be an absolute miracle if they won this game. And yes, Inter Miami have some very good attackers, and I do think they could possibly score against PSG, but I just don't think their midfield or their defense is good enough to beat PSG. Obviously, they have Busquets, they have Jordi Alba, but other than that, they're really lacking in that midfield and defensive lineup. And for that reason, I think PSG will pretty comfortably score multiple goals against Miami, and I do think PSG will win this game 4-1. Moving on to the next match, we have Flamengo against Bayern Munich. I think this will be a very, very good game. Now, obviously, Flamengo in their recent match ended up drawing against LAFC, which wasn't really a good result. But against Chelsea, they were very, very good defensively, and obviously against Esperance, they did comfortably win that game. It looks like Flamengo are a very, very solid defensive team, and Bayern Munich, obviously we all know how good Bayern Munich are, but if you saw them in their last game against Benfica, they were not good on the attack. They had so many chances, they had so much possession, but they could not score for their life. Leroy Sané missed like 3 breakaways, like they should have easily scored 3 goals in that game. but Benfica were very good defensively, and so are Flamengo, and for that reason, I think Bayern Munich might struggle a little bit in this game. But I do think Bayern Munich will come back after that poor performance against Benfica. Now, I would like it if Flamengo ended up upsetting Bayern Munich, but I think Bayern Munich are just a little bit too good, and for that reason, I'm going to predict them to win this game 2-1. Moving on to the next match, we have Inter Milan against Fluminense. I like Fluminense. If you didn't watch my group stage prediction video, Fluminense are the Brazilian team that I support. I have multiple jerseys from Fluminense, and I would love it if they could beat Inter Milan. And I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it's impossible. Now, obviously, Inter are clearly the favorites, but they didn't start off this FIFA Club World Cup that well. And in the group stages, if you remember, in that first game against River Plate, and even in their next game, both the start of those games, they did not start off very good. They looked very shaky. They didn't look very confident. And obviously, the main reason for that is because they have gone through a lot of changes. Obviously, Simone Inzaghi left the club, they hired Kivu, and it looks like he's having a little bit of a rocky start. But if you look at Fluminense, they have been very good defensively. Obviously, in the first game in the group stage, they ended up drawing Dortmund 0-0. The next game, they beat Ulsan 4-2. And in the last game, they ended up drawing against Mamelodi Sundowns, again 0-0. Now, what does this show us? It shows us that they have a little bit of trouble scoring, but defensively, they are very good. This is going to be my big upset in this video. Obviously, I am Italian. I watch the Serie A, but I don't think Inter are going to win this game. Now, obviously, they are the favorites. And realistically, they definitely could win this game. But I'm going to go with Fluminense. I think Fluminense are going to beat Inter 1-0 and they will advance into the next round. The next game we got is Manchester City against Al-Hilal. I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on Al-Hilal. Now, obviously, Mitrovic is currently injured and he will not be playing in this game. At least, I don't think so. But in general, Al-Hilal do have a very good squad. They have a lot of ex-European players throughout the squad, in the defense, the midfield, and especially in the attack. And we saw it in that first group stage game against Real Madrid, that they were actually a very good team. And they could have probably beat Real Madrid in that first game. So I wouldn't sleep on Al-Hilal. Now, Manchester City, it was a little bit tough to see how good they were from the first two games, because they were obviously coming up against Wydad and Al Ain. But in the last game against Juve, they were completely dominant, and Juve have been having a pretty good Club World Cup so far. So for Man City to score 5 goals against Juventus, now obviously Juventus don't have the best defense, but 5 goals is very good. Some of their new signings have been absolutely incredible. Reinders, Turkey, they've all been very good. And for that reason, I don't think Al-Hilal stand a chance against Man City. I think Man City will win this game 2-0. Moving on to the next match, we have Real Madrid against Juventus. Like I already mentioned, Juventus were very, very good in their first 2 matches. But in the last match against Man City, they were so poor. Defensively, they were absolutely horrible. And for a Serie A team, which obviously the Serie A usually prioritizes defense, I don't think Juve have a good defense. If you look at their defense in the last game against Man City, they were playing with Savona, they were playing with Kalulu, and they were playing with Lloyd Kelly. Now, let me say something. This Lloyd Kelly guy is absolutely shit. But even Kalulu, when he was at AC Milan and now with Juventus, I never thought he was the best defender. And Savona, I do think he is a good defender, but he's very young and inexperienced. So for that reason, I think Juve's defense is not good enough at all. And I think Real Madrid will easily expose this. I do think Juventus could score multiple goals in this game. And for that reason, I think this is going to be a very high scoring game. But I am going to predict Real Madrid to win this game 4-2 and them to advance into the quarterfinals. And finally, the last game we got is Borussia Dortmund against Monterrey. If any team has been underrated in this tournament, it has 100% been Monterrey. They ended up drawing against Inter Milan. They ended up drawing against River Plate. And they ended up beating Red Diamonds 4-0. They were absolutely incredible in their group. River Plate were obviously the second favorites to make it out of their group, but Monterrey ended up making it out instead. And I think they have a very underrated squad. Obviously, Monterrey have a lot of ex-European players, like some of these other South American teams, with players like Lucas Ocampos, Canales, Sergio Ramos. I think they have a very good squad, and a lot of people have been underrating them since the start. And I don't think this is going to be an easy game for Borussia Dortmund. We saw how good they are defensively. We saw how hard it was for Inter Milan, for River Plate to score against Monterrey. And with Dortmund not having the best scoring ability in this competition so far, I think this might be a little bit of a struggle for them. I wouldn't be surprised if Monterrey pulled the upset in this game, but for these predictions, I am going to say that Borussia Dortmund end up winning this game. I think it's going to be very, very close, but I do think Borussia Dortmund will just edge it in this game. I think they're going to win this game 1-0 to advance to the quarterfinals. And that is the end of this video. Those were my round of 16 predictions for the FIFA Club World Cup. Now, I'm sorry if this video felt a little bit rushed and there wasn't as much editing as normal. And the reason for that is because I was working all day and I have to get this video out within the next 12 hours before the Palmeiras versus Botafogo game. But if you guys are enjoying this competition so far and you're excited for my quarterfinal predictions, remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and stay tuned for more videos.